Alright guys, just saying here, back for another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and with the 8th year anniversary about to end on JP, I wanted to do an updated top 10 LR tier list, because of course the anniversary has had a very big, and I mean very big, impact on the top 10 list of LRs in the game, because a lot of units were dropped down out of the list to make way for the new LRs, so I wanted to make a video just going over a more updated list, and kind of discuss where a lot of the new LRs do land on the top 10 list. But keep in mind, all of this is just my opinion, and if you disagree, feel free to let me know down in the comments and tell me why I'm wrong, because of course this is just my opinion at the end of the day. But I feel like the list is pretty good overall. I mean, it's not really that difficult to rank some of these new 8th year anniversary LRs and kind of compare them to some of the older LRs. But yeah, I mean, still, it is just my opinion, so just keep that in mind. But before we get into the top 10 list, I do want to discuss some honorable mentions. Now, these guys are not quite in the top 10 list, but they are very, very close to being in there. And if you really want to argue them being in the top 10, I guess I could see it. So right here, we have LR Ultimate Gohan. Definitely with good RNG, he can look like one of the best units in the game, but you just really need that good key luck with him, and that is kind of difficult to come by just because his key mechanic, it's just not that good. I mean, you know, you need to get the 24 key to be super effective against all types, and that is very difficult to get. And you do get the additional that has a 70% chance to become a super with, I believe, 20 key, which still isn't really all that easy to get, but, I mean, you do get it every now and then, and you're still doing a lot of damage, especially the more you build up with him. But I just feel like his key mechanic is so bad, and he does rely on that to be good, because of course he needs to build up quicker, and you get the additionals with the key. So just overall kind of a weird unit, but with good RNG, he could be very good. Same thing with the Frieza. In certain situations, this guy can look like the best unit in the game, more specifically like the first turn you have him, because he has that 90% damage reduction. But I feel like that does wear off pretty quickly, and that is a little bit of a downside to this guy, because, I don't know, on turn like 7, 8, you know, you've lost a lot of your damage reduction, and he will get hit kind of hard. But next, we have the new Carnival LR Gohan. Now, a lot of people are probably going to be mad that I'm not putting this guy in the top 10 list, but overall, I just feel like he doesn't stack up quick enough. I mean, of course, that does all depend on RNG, because then if you're getting a bunch of additionals, I guess, of course, you would be stacking up very quickly. But still, I just feel like overall this guy is a little lacking in terms of the other 8th year anniversary LRs we've seen. But don't get me wrong, this guy definitely is still good. I could definitely see you arguing him being in the top 10 list. And then next we have the Carnival LR Super Saiyan Goku. This guy is very good as well. He's supporting. You know, he gets up to some really good stats once you build up with him. And his damage is definitely insane. So you can never go wrong with this guy. But alright, I mean, with all the honorable mentions said, let's just go ahead and get into the list. So at number 10, we have the 7th year anniversary LRs. Now, these guys, I mean, they're still very good. If I had to put one over the other, I would put the Gods as a little bit better than the Super Saiyan 4s. But, you know, I'm going to pull the truth and put them both in number 10 slot. But, yeah, they're definitely very good. The guard for the first turn, and then the crazy transformation to where they're both basically untouchable in slot 2 and 3 is definitely very good. I mean, they're going to be doing so much damage, and they're going to be tanking very, very well. More specifically, the Gods do get that dodge chance, so I guess their defense is probably going to be a little bit better, because as long as the event doesn't cancel dodging, you're going to be seeing them, obviously, just dodging a lot of attacks. And then the Super Saiyan 4s, or Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, I guess, does have the damage reduction, which definitely is very good. So if the event does cancel dodge, this, of course, is a lot more useful. And then he does also have the high chance to evade enemy super attack, which it is an evasion. It's not a nullification or anything like that. So that definitely is kind of unfortunate, but it's still good that he has that in his back pocket. And both of their leader skills are amazing. I would say they're still probably some of the best leads in the game. I mean, just having Kamehameha as the extra 30% is very, very, like, broad. And most of the units on these categories are also on Kamehameha. So definitely very, very good just overall in terms of both of these units. I would just say they're only at number 10 just because better units have come out. I mean, you'll see that's kind of the case with a lot of units on this list. They're not bad, and they haven't really aged all that much, but better units are just out. So, alright, moving on to number 9, we have the LR 5th Form Cooler. Now, this guy definitely is still very good, but better units have just come out. I mean, similar to the 7th year LRs, it's just, you know, it's just better units are out in the game right now, so it is more difficult for this guy to compete. But definitely, I mean, as I said, he's still very good. In terms of extreme class units, he's probably one of the best ones in the game right now, just because extreme class it just has not been getting any love. I was really hoping we would see LR Kid Buu and Omega Shenron for part 2 of the anniversary, but unfortunately we didn't see that. But anyway, yeah, this guy definitely is very good. His leader skill is crazy. This is going to cover every Wicked Bloodline unit. and even some like Janimbas and stuff like that. So really good with that. His super attack effects are crazy. Of course, he stacks attack on his 18 key, and then his 12 key, he does get the 50% defense, which considering all the additionals this guy is going to be getting, your defense really does start to get up there. And then he does build up as well, which, as I said, you know, you get a bunch of additionals, so you're going to build up with this guy crazy fast. And then his active skill is great as well. I mean, it's very easy to get. You just need to do 8 attacks, which is not difficult with this guy whatsoever. And his active skill, of course, is going to do a ton of damage. Now, one thing about this guy is you are going to want to make sure you have him on the right team, because you're going to want to have a lot of these big-time links active. I mean, stuff like Thirst for Conquest, Big Bad Bosses, even Metamorphoses, all give you a ton of attack and defense. So definitely you're going to want to prioritize getting those links. But I feel like even without them, this guy still is going to look somewhat impressive. It's just this guy's a completely different unit once you have like 6 out of 7 or 7 out of 7 links compared to him when you have like, you know, no links or 1 or 2 out of 7 links. But definitely a very good unit. It's just with the spot Extreme Class is in right now, and with better units just releasing over time, this guy does naturally just kind of fall lower and lower on the tier list. However, still overall, like I said, a very good unit. But alright, moving on to number 8, we have the Carnival LR Tech Goku. Now, I'm going to show number 7 as well. We've got the AGL Gohan. It was really difficult deciding who was better between the two of them. I mean, they are very similar units. Of course, AGL Gohan does have guard and he is stacking, and then the Goku does have guard and he is stacking. So they are very similar in terms of that. But the major difference between them is this Gohan has the crazy Super Saiyan 2 transformation, and then this Goku does have the Revive, which at a surface level, I would say the Revive is better. So I was very close to putting the Goku above the Gohan. But it's just, I mean, you know, once better units come out that need the Revive, this Gohan will fall a little bit short, because then you won't be able to revive with him. And his guard, of course, does become permanent once you revive with him. So you are kind of missing out on that with him if you don't get the revive. And then that just kind of causes issues. So I would say the Gohan is a little bit better right now. And he is also stacking a little bit quicker, because he does build up to some higher stats because he has the build up in his passive. And if events are going to go towards like longer, and like if events are just going to get longer, then this guy is probably going to be a little bit more better in terms of that. But yeah, I mean, here is the Carnival LR Goku. Definitely still good. As I said, he does stack. He does have the guard and the super effective against all types as well. So just a lot of things in his kit that are going to make him very good. His active skill definitely is going to do a lot of damage as well. It does disable enemies' actions once within the turn, which is always a useful ability to have. And this guy's link set is definitely very good as well. He's going to be working well with a lot of other units on his categories, which he has a lot of categories as well. So just, I mean, definitely a good unit. I mean, he's on the top 10, so he is very good overall. But I do think the Gohan is a hair better. And yeah, I mean, his leader skill is pretty good as well. Powerful Comeback isn't, I mean, let's get real. This isn't anything too crazy. Well, I mean, you got some good units on here. You got some standout units, but nothing too crazy. I mean, it's just kind of small. We need more additions to this for it to be good. But yeah, I mean, overall, I would say this guy is still very good. It's just the Gohan, a little bit better, So then, yeah, here we have the Gohan. I'm not going to talk about him for too long. He just came out on Global, so a lot of you guys probably already know what he does. But yeah, I mean, you've got the stacking defense. You've got the start of turn attack and defense, which is very good, 150% for a summonable LR. Definitely very good. I mean, same thing with the Carnival LR Goku. I didn't mention this, but this guy has a lot of stats going on, which is going to make it to where he just gets very crazy very quickly. And then, yeah, again, this guy does have the guard. He does have the additionals built in, which is going to be very crucial with this guy because he does also stack on his 12 key. So that's going to make it to where he's just stacking much, much, much quicker with additionals. And he also is AGL, so he has the base 5 additional. So then seeing him triple super isn't going to be that uncommon. So definitely very good there. I would say the only bad thing about him is this. I mean, it's just a bad condition. What do you want me to say? Like, it's just, you know, Android category allies aren't going to be very common with this guy just because his teams don't really revolve around you putting Android category allies with him. But, I mean, maybe if you're facing an Android enemy, you know, it's nice to get the transformation every now and then. And, of course, when you get it, this guy is, like, pretty much the best unit in the game. I mean, at least in the top, like, 3 best units in the game. So definitely very good here, but, unfortunately, it's just not all that common to get. But, yeah, still very good unit. Carnival LR Goku's a very good unit. I'm kind of talking about both of them at the same time just because they're both very similar. But, I mean, definitely, they're both going to age very well because the guard and the stacking. And that's an amazing combination. I mean, look at the Tech Ultimate Gohan. he's crazy because he has the guard and the stacking. Granted, he is greatly stacking, and his guard is unconditional, so it's a little bit of a different situation, but it's the same basis, you know, guard and stacking. But alright, moving on to number 6 on the list, we have the 5th year anniversary LRs. Now, the only reason I have these guys at number 6 and not higher is because while they're very, very good in their transform state, especially when they're built up, I feel like in their pre-transform state, they're not unimpressive, but they're not necessarily that crazy. I mean, they can be definitely very good, especially if you're getting lucky with like additionals, because of course you are stacking a lot on your 12 and 18 key. And then if they're in slot 3, they do have the 70% chance to dodge, but overall their performance isn't anything too crazy. I mean, you know, technically, you know, you got the 70% chance to dodge in slot 3, you got additionals, and then you got the 100% defense when attacking. So they're very good, but I would just say they're not anything like insane. But then you transform with them, and they damn well are. They are very, very good when they transform. This Vegito more specifically can do like 6 supers, and then because the amount of stats he gets with every super attack, because you know you got the 50% attack and defense here, you get the 50% defense here, but this defense is for 3 turns. So there's just so much to it to where they're going to be looking really crazy. But then also, the Vegito gets a guaranteed additional when key is 24, and then the Gogeta gets the guaranteed crit when key is 24, which I would say the Vegitos is probably a little bit better because, I mean, the 50% defense and attack, but mainly defense on his 12 key super attack effect, just getting that once again, of course, because you have the guaranteed additional, is just crazy. So in terms of damage, I think the Vegito is probably going to be a little bit better because how many supers he's doing. Also, in terms of defense, he's probably going to be a little bit better because of how many supers he's doing. But I would say the Gogeta is a little bit better in terms of his teams because this guy is on movie heroes, which is very, very good. It's arguably the best category in the game right now. So I think this Gogeta probably is going to be a little bit better in terms of like spots you can bring him on, and even in terms of linking partners, because a good linking partner with this guy is the AGL-TUR EZA Gogeta, which that guy is very good himself. So I would say in terms of like spots on teams and rotations, the Gogeta might look a little bit better, but in terms of just raw power, you know, Vegito does have a little bit of an upper hand just because of how many supers he's doing. I mean, I don't know if you've seen a rotation with him doing like the active skill and then doing 6 supers, but that is very, very crazy because in total, he's doing over like 50 million damage. Just insane. Absolutely insane. So both of them are very good. I mean, I don't want to downplay the Gogeta either. You know, he's very good in terms of his performance, but I think he can only do like 4 or 5 supers. So the Vegito definitely does have the upper hand in terms of that, but they do also have the active skill, which is going to be hitting very hard because it's a guaranteed crit, and it's fairly easy to get. I think it's the same for both of them, right? When facing only one enemy whose HP is 50% or less, yeah, and then one enemy whose HP is 50% or less. Okay, yeah. So it's the same condition for both of them, and it'll hit really hard. I mean, of course, in terms of the actual effects of the active skill, there's not much, but, you know, in the passive, it says they get the guaranteed crit when they do the active. So between the crit and between them stacking in their pre-transform state, the active skill is going to hit hard because if you're not aware, units that stack, they do obviously keep that when they transform. So then in their transform state, they're not only carrying the stacks from that, but then their active skill is going to get harder because they have the stacks from their pre-transform state. So definitely very good overall. I wouldn't quite put them at like, you know, 4 or 3, but you could argue it because their transformation is very easy to get. The condition is only like turn 4. And, you know, definitely overall, they're very good when they transform. But just because of their performance in their base forms, I feel like putting them at number 6 is pretty reasonable. But all right, moving on to number 5, we have the Carnival LR Goku, the AGL one. Now, this guy definitely is good because he is a stacking unit, and he has a crazy leader skill. I mean, Turtle School is pretty much every single Goku, and even some like Krillins, Yamchas, you know, Master Roshis. So definitely a very good lead here. I mean, a full 200% to this is going to be insanely useful. I mean, because this is only going to get, you know, better and better throughout the, you know, the years once we get more Gokus and stuff like that. But this guy is also a stacking character, like I said, who does build up to some crazy stats, and he has guard for the first 6 turns, and he does have a survive KO mechanic built in, and this guy has a high chance of evading Ki Blast super directed at this character, and just overall, a very crazy unit. Now, one thing specifically that does stand out to me about this guy is that he has the guard for the 6 turns, like I said, but then you have to receive 9 attacks in total to fully build up a 120% attack buff, an extra 59% defensive buff, and also you build up a 59% chance to crit. So just with I mean, once you get that fully built up, and you just get everything, then he's going to be very, very good. I'm talking like over 10 million attack stats with a 59% chance to crit, over a million defense, and if it's within turn 6, you have guard on that turn as well. And then, of course, you do have the surviving KO mechanic, and then you recover the 59% HP. And then just so much to it where this guy is going to be very, very good. He is obviously named Goku as well, so he's on a bunch of really top-tier teams. He's got good links. I mean, you know, Sand Warrior Race is good. All in the Family is a ton of defense. Experienced Fighters is pretty good. Infighter is... Well, Infighter isn't really that crazy, but, you know, Z Fighters, I guess, is alright too, and then Fierce Battle Legendary Power is amazing, so... Overall, I would say good link set. I mean, Infighter and Z Fighters aren't really amazing, but still a very good link set, like I said, overall. This guy's active skill is pretty good as well. The condition is that you need to be below 59% HP starting from the 5th turn from start of battle when there is another Warriors Raised on Earth category ally in the same turn. And then the effect is that it massively raises attack temporarily, causes ultimate damage to enemy, and then all attacks become critical hits for 1 turn. So definitely not really the craziest effect. I mean, the guaranteed crits is nice, but because this guy is not stacking attack, I don't really think this active skill is going to hit that hard. But, I mean, if you're fully built up with him, actually, this might do some solid damage. Because once you have the extra 120% attack, this will actually hit pretty hard with the crit. And the condition isn't really that hard to get. Most of the teams are running him on. There are a lot of other Warriors Raised on Earth category allies. So this shouldn't really be too difficult to get activated. So yeah, just a very good unit. I think definitely he's going to age very well because he's stacking. He's got the guard for the first 6 turns. And he does build up very quickly. But alright, moving on to the number 4 spot. We have LR, Vegeta, and Trunks. Now, these guys were regarded as probably the best unit in the game for a while. But similar to the 7th year anniversary LRs and STR Cooler, better units have just come out. But these guys are still definitely very good. As I said earlier, units that guard and stack typically age very well. And of course, this guy does stack on his 18 key. He builds up a lot of defense, and then he does have the guard, which is restricted to being in slot 1 if you don't have another Bond of Parent and Child category ally attacking in the same turn. So that is kind of unfortunate, because maybe if you get like locked in slot 2 or 3 and you don't have the guard up with this guy, and maybe you haven't stacked a lot with him, he can kind of get destroyed. But for the most part, if you just throw him in slot 1, he'll be fine because he stacks. Of course, he does build up to an additional 75% defense, so once you have that fully built up, this guy's going to be looking really good defensively. And his damage is alright. I'm going to be honest, it's nothing too crazy. He does have some additionals built in, and then he does also build up to a 35% chance to crit. So if you're getting a bunch of crits and additionals off, definitely he'll be looking impressive offensively, but that's only with RNG. So yeah, overall I would say though, pretty good unit. I mean, his active skill, actually, I do want to mention this. This is crazy. So not only do all attacks become crits on his active skill, but he raises allies' defense by 20%. This is very, very good. 20% defense for all allies is very crazy. That might not seem like the biggest buff to you, 20%, but that will make a difference. I mean, you use it in a turn, and you see everyone's defensive stat just gradually increases, like at least by 100 or like 200k. I mean, because a lot of units' defense now are very, very high. So a 20% increase from that will be a very notable change. And the condition for his active skill isn't really that difficult. You just need a Future Saga category ally from the 3rd turn from start of battle, or just be below 50% HP starting from the 5th turn. So very easy to get. And this guy's leader skill is probably one of the best in the game. Bond of Parent and Child is easily one of the best categories in the game. Let me pull this up really quick. Yeah, I mean, as you can see right here, he is the only lead for this category, and this is just an insane category. It is very, very big, and it will get a lot of buffs in the future because it's pretty much all Gokus, all Vegetas, a lot of Gohan, Goten, Trunkses, blah, 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 just a ton of units. So definitely an amazing leader skill, and he does also lead Future Saga, which could get very good if we see maybe, Dokkan Festival LR Vegito and like a half-corrupted Zamasu or Sword of Hope Trunks or something like that. But for now, that's not really the craziest category. Bond of Parent and Child is definitely the standout one there. And then the extra 30% going to Battle of Fate is pretty good, because Battle of Fate, similar to Kamehameha on the 7th year anniversary LRs, is a very broad extra 30% for the 200%. So pretty good there in terms of that. And yeah, just overall, I would say he's going to be very good in slot 1 defensively. And then if you can't put him in slot 1, you might run into some issues, but as long as you have another Bond of Parent and Child category ally on the same turn, you do get the guard regardless of what slot he's in for 5 turns. So a very good unit. I think he's going to age very well with the stacking and the guard. You're starting to probably see a connection between that. Guard and stacking in a unit typically makes them very, very good. But all right, moving on to number 3, we have Orange Piccolo. Now, this guy is one of the most defensive units in the game between the amount of defense he gets on his 12 and 18 key super, between the guard for the first 3 turns, between this insane damage reduction, which 20% isn't that good, but then you can get an additional 30%. So then that's 50% damage reduction in total. And then, of course, he does build up to 150% attack and defense. So just with everything going on with this guy, he can become very, very crazy. I mean, especially if you start getting, like, additionals with him, you're going to be at, like, over 1 million defense with 50% damage reduction, which is very crazy. Now, one downside about this guy is getting the extra 30% damage reduction can be quite difficult. I mean, you do have to be below 30% HP. So definitely that might be kind of difficult sometimes, but I mean, you will see it. I mean, it's not necessarily impossible to get. And when you do get it, he's easily untouchable. I mean, 50% damage reduction with like well over 1 million defense is just insane. And then this guy does also give all allies 2 key if he receives an attack. So you just throw this guy in slot 1, receive 1 attack, and then the whole rotation gets some extra key. This guy has a great key mechanic because he does get an extra 1 key per key sphere obtained. And then, of course, his super attack effects are amazing. You know, 50% attack and defense on 18 key, and then 50% defense and 30% attack for 1 turn on 12 key is really good. And then he also has, like, stunning going on. He's lowering attack and defense, and just all that. So, definitely a very good unit. He does also have the giant form in his back pocket, which is good. I mean, the amount of damage this guy's going to be doing with the giant form in total, it's just going to be crazy. This is hitting harder than most active skills, just because if you tally up all the damage you're doing, it's a lot. I mean, not only are you pretty much always getting a super attack, because you get 2 key per key sphere obtained, but then you also do have the medium chance to do an additional super. So just a lot going on with him to where he's going to be doing a lot of damage. I mean, I guess maybe one downside is he doesn't have any crits built into his giant form, which typically with giant form units, you do want to have crits built in, but I don't know, with the additionals, I don't really think it's going to be that big of a deal. And he is also tech, so he has the base 5 crit, so you still could always just rely on that. And another thing about this guy that actually is insane is his categories. The amount of categories this guy is on that actually need the help is very good. I mean, look at this giant form, Namekians, full power, worthy rivals, revenge, rapid growth, connected hope, gifted warriors, all of those definitely need the help. So the fact that he is a very top tier unit on all those categories is a major positive of this guy. And then the day Namekians becomes an actual good team, this guy's just going to be insane on that team. Like, I don't know, maybe if we get a Dokkan Fest Nail or like Lord Slug or something like that, this guy would be amazing on that team because, of course, he does help all his allies with a little bit of key, and then him himself is just going to be insane. So, yeah, very good unit. I think number 3 is definitely a really good spot for him because he's not quite as good as number 2 and number 1, but he is still, like, you know, right there. But, all right, moving on to number 2 and number 1. As you've probably guessed, we've got the 8th year anniversary LRs. Now, I am putting the GT Goku Vegeta above the Majin Buu Saga one, but I do want to clarify that if they are going to switch content to where it's, like, more longer and it's lasting to, like, turn 20, the Majin Buu Saga Goku Vegeta could easily be better because they do stack defense, which, of course, is much better in longer events than stacking attack, like the GT Goku Vegeta. But for now, the GT Goku Vegeta are a little bit better, but we'll talk about that once we get to them. But anyway, yeah, so starting off with the Majin Buu Saga Goku Vegeta. So these guys obviously are still really crazy. I mean, second best LR in the game. They do stack defense, like I said. But the thing is on their 18 key, they greatly stack defense, which is insane. That's a very big defensive stack. And also, with the amount of additionals they're getting, they're really going to get up there very quickly. I mean, they get a guaranteed additional super attack when key is 24. And then they do also get the additional that has a great chance of becoming a super when key is 18. So you're going to see their defensive stats are going to get insane very quickly just because of all the additionals they're doing. And then, of course, they are physical, so then they have the base 5 additional. So then you could easily see them quadruple super. And, you know, definitely they're going to get very crazy very quickly. But yeah, they do also have the standby skill, which is very good because the amount of damage you're going to be doing is just insane. One negative, though, is that you can't actually super attack with them. As you can see right here, they don't have a super attack effect. However, the amount of damage you're going to be doing when you do the finish attack is just crazy. I mean, as you can see right here, you get an extra 500% attack, which is very good. And then defensively, they're very good as well. Not only do they keep all the defense they've stacked from their previous form, but also they get damage reduction per key sphere obtained, which is not just like a little amount either. That's 8% damage reduction per key sphere obtained. Yeah. So, very good right there. And then also they do have the guard for the 4 turns, which that is majority of the time you're going to be in this standby skill state when you like switch into Vegeta. So definitely just defensively, they're actually probably going to be one of the best defensive units in the game. And then when you do the actual finish attack, it's like a nuke. You're just going to destroy the enemy. So very good. I mean, honestly, easily, you know, at least the second best unit in the game, but I guess you could argue tied for first or even better than the GT Goku and Vegeta. But moving on to the GT Goku and Vegeta, I mean, it's pretty much the same thing as the Majin Buu Saga Goku and Vegeta, but instead of stacking defense, they stack attack. And then instead of building up to a crit chance, which I did forget to mention, they do build up a 50% chance to crit, they build up a 50%, or they build up 50% damage reduction. So the 50% damage reduction is a lot more useful than the crit chance. So this definitely is why they are a little bit better right now. And then also their standby skill is going to hit just a little bit harder because they are actually stacking attack. And then of course that does carry over into when they exchange into Vegeta or when they switch into Vegeta. So yeah, it's just going to make it to where this is going to hit insanely hard for both of them, but probably a little bit harder for the GT one. And then this guy does also have this insane support ability where he gives all allies 8 ki and then 80% attack. And then he also does give all superclass allies 40% attack on his super attack effect. So if you have this guy in slot 1 and you don't die, then you're giving all allies the 8 ki and then 120% attack. Yeah, 120% attack is pretty good. That's going to be making it to where everyone on the rotation is going to be hitting very, very hard. So definitely a really good unit overall. The amount of damage he's going to be doing and then the amount of damage he's going to be letting other units doing is just crazy. And defensively, though, this guy is very bad. I mean, he's meant to die because then you get the revive and then you do the spirit bomb and then it hits like a nuke. So, yeah, that is why I have this guy at 1, though, mainly because the damage reduction and because the standby skill is just going to hit a little bit harder. But still, this is my tier list. Let me know what you guys think of it down in the comments once again. I know some of these spots might seem a little questionable to you guys, like having the 5th year anniversary LRs at 6 and, you know, maybe having Cooler at like 9, but I think this makes the most sense to me. But again, let me know in the comments what you're thinking about this list. So yeah, that has been the video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.